Our reimagined Grizzly build 10 years after the original WR700 is really starting to come into its own. And today I've got some important parts that are going to step it up in their performance department. Right up front, the MBRP AT6412SP exhaust system will help flow more air while sounding much better with a very moderate but more aggressive note. The system is made of aluminized steel that's black coated and does save in the weight department as well. It looks nice and it goes on with nothing but hand tools while being covered with a 1-year warranty. Now you've probably heard it said that an engine is just an air pump, and if we're going to flow more air out, we need to flow more air in. And EHS Racing has come to the party here pretty huge. EHS has done quite a lot for us on this build. Firstly, the 2019 to current intake system that features a beautifully machined aluminum intake adapter and allows for the use of a very oversized K&N cone style filter. Once we have these installed, we can then install the EHS airbox cover lid. It features a huge cutout with a perfectly fit aluminum surround and frog skin style filter mesh screen. This will allow the Grizzly to breathe deeper without any restriction. Another cool add-on from EHS is their EFI controller that'll allow us to finely tune the already reflashed ECU from EHS as well. You supply them with your intake and exhaust as well as clutching changes and tire size, and they program the stock ECU to fit. This tuner just gives us the next level in terms of ability to then fine-tune the reflash and get everything possible from this 700 Grizzly. And speaking of clutching changes, this is another area we need to take up a notch. When it comes to the Ultramatic clutches, you want to talk to the guys from AD Clutching because they know a whole lot. Supplying AD Clutching with all the pertinent specs of our build and knowing that they work closely with EHS Racing as well means that I'm going to get the perfect kit for my riding style and upgrades. The kit AD suggests was their machine sheave kit that includes a brand new machined genuine Yamaha clutch sheave to help with overall power. A full set of greaseless weights in the proper grammage for our setup along with greaseless sliders. A new secondary spring was also supplied along with a secondary slippery washer to help improve backshift. They also supplied me with a primary shim to help with the bottom end and a full set of wet clutch slugs and wet clutch cover gasket to ensure we get a good seal. They also included some Tink Seal Ultramatic grease substitute that helps lower friction, can be used on all sliding primary and secondary surfaces, and features nanoparticle transfer. What I take away from this is that this stuff outperforms traditional Ultramatic grease in all areas, which helps increase performance. I also chose not to reinstall the stock Yamaha drive belt, but instead opted for a Dayco XTX 2241 belt supplied by Motovan Canada, ensuring that all that power from the engine mods and primary clutch will get through to the secondary and then down to the ground. Now, while I'm talking about Motovan, they hooked me up with this really cool anti-gravity battery as well as some engine ice coolant. The anti-gravity ATX12 battery is simply put incredible. It weighs only 2.6 pounds. Yeah, you heard that right. Its lithium-ion design means you get 360 cranking amps, and it even has a built-in jump starter with a starting button, so you never get stranded with a dead battery. You can mount the anti-gravity batteries in any orientation, and it saves around 7 pounds of weight. Now that is impressive. We will also be flushing our coolant system and replacing it with engine ice to help keep operating temps lower and help to capture any contaminants that can be found in the cooling system. And last but not least, I have a couple more parts from AD Clutching that I just couldn't resist. The black aluminum Perfex 3-inch foot pegs are here in case I need more grip than my D3 footwells offer. AD also sent me their really slick black anodized and milled Grizzly billet shifter handle. It's super clean, smaller, and more positive feeling with finger cutouts. Doesn't hurt that it looks so darn good too. So our Grizzly is looking really good. I mean, next level cool. But there's one more thing to do. We're gonna head out to Accelerated Technologies, where our brand new Elka Stage 5 shocks are waiting for us. And they're not only gonna install them, they're gonna custom tune them to our Grizzly with all of the accessories and add-ons that we've put on it. So without further ado, let's get going. We arrived at Accelerated Technologies and were greeted by John Sharrard, who is going to take our Elka shock package and bring it to a whole new level by custom tuning it specifically for our Grizzly.
With the Elka, once you step into that investment, there's so much opportunity, right? We can probably put about 80 different spring combos on.
Gotcha.
Between a tender spring and a crossover height, and then the mainspring. You can get unbelievable articulation and grip from that alone.
Yep.
And then we can control body roll, we control anti-bottoming with the mainspring. There's so much we can do. What I'll do is I'll start on capturing a couple of the baseline setups.
Sure.
And then Jen, maybe I'll pull shocks off, give them to you. You can check preload and spring rate, start rate and end rate, and at what percentage it crosses over. And that'll tell us a lot about what we're up against. If we look right now, front to rear once AJ got on. Statically, the rear was higher than the front, which is a problem. But once he got on, the rear went down a fair bit. So we're going to go down on spring rate. So the ride comfort and compliance should be a lot better than it was, but we'll give you a lot more control in the shock absorber. There's a misconception that preload makes it stronger or makes it stiffer.
Right.
And it does not. Okay. Adding preload purely pushes down on the spring and lifts the vehicle.
Right.
What Jen has done is picked a crossover height. So the height of this black plastic crossover piece at some point in the travel of the shock will hit the preload adjuster and lock and stop. And then it takes the tender spring out of the equation and the effective rate goes up. We came up to our test track here and we went in 3 stages. We did walking pace and then looked at see the travel. And then we did jogging pace and we looked at the travel. And in those 2 investigations, what we were looking for was the travel to be even front to rear. And that tells us, is the machine biased properly in terms of spring rate? The motion ratio of the front shocks is different than the rear. The front springs are stronger. And it did. It used almost exactly the same percentage travel. And then we got out to our test field and we went for a rip and none of the shocks bottomed. They all came down within maybe 10 millimeters of the bump rubber. And that tells us that our crossover point in our dual rate spring strategy from tender, when the tender locks out, goes onto the main spring is great. It's super, super close. At this point, we're happy with the spring rate. We're happy with the preload. The sags are right. So now we would look at damping. As we add compression damping, the shock is going to get firmer and firmer. So every click of compression damping is going to make that shock 5% stronger. We've got 20 clicks of low speed, 18 clicks of high speed. We got tons of range for you to make the shock stronger and stronger and stronger. The compression damping is the resistance to the tire coming up or the bike coming down, the quad coming down. And then rebound is the speed at which we let the tire come back out. Elka will give you 40 clicks of adjustability.
There's 40 in there.
40.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that sounds overwhelming. But realize, once we set it where we want to set it for those springs, we're probably only going to move them 4 or 5 clicks. We supply these shocks with tremendous adjustability, and then we try to take moments like this to train and tell you how to tune them and give you some ballparks. And you're welcome to call us at any point too for a reminder. We've checked the calibration of the shocks is good. The springs are excellent. The sag is right. So now I would just kind of fine tune the rebound a couple clicks up or down until it's just keeping the tire in contact and the thing is tracking straight. And then work on your compression.
We appreciate your help today. This has been good, man. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, AJ. It was a pleasure.
I'm excited to get out. I got to ride this now.